This is what happens when you miss the ferry at Calais. You've got a couple of hours to wait till the next one comes along. Time to kill, time to think, and certainly it set me thinking about what the future of our sport, future rowing, might look like. 25 years ago in the Seoul Olympics, if you'd have asked me that question or any of the athletes competing in that games, I guess people might have come up with all sorts of fantastical ideas. Maybe they might have said that people would row more often, there'd be more international rowing events, athletes might compete over different distances, Olympic teams would be smaller, maybe they double up in the Olympics, you get more nations racing the men's 8 and so on, because small boats would come together and make the men's 8. There'd be more women's rowing, equal number of women's crews to men's crews. Perhaps rowing would be cheaper, perhaps it'd take place in different venues all around the world, shorter sprint venues, city centres. There'd be a whole lot of things that you might have imagined. Actually, when you look at it, the future of rowing, 25 years from the Seoul Olympics, I think what's remarkable is how little it's changed. Okay, sure, there's big blades, okay, Eastern European nations have gone, there's lightweights in the Olympics, but essentially rowers race over 2,000 metres. They race pretty much 3 or 4 times a year. The season is just so short. I mean, you really have to blink and you miss the rowing season. Compared to sports like cycling or athletics with the indoor season, it just doesn't stay in comparison. There's more men's crews than women's. Rowing's getting more international representation, but still in terms of continental wise there's an awful lot more to do, and there are so many sports that have made themselves more attractive. I guess one reason for rowing being stuck is because the power in rowing really lies with the coaches, the people who run the national programs, who kind of want this incredible time to train, not to race because of the expense of racing. I don't think the British team will go to the World Cup in Sydney this year because it's so expensive, and it's very difficult to see anything bottom up that will change the sport. There's so many women coming through in the sport, but still hardly any women's 8s in competition. The thing I think that might change things is the International Olympic Committee. Big push with a new president. You saw what happened with wrestling, how wrestling had to really change their sport just to keep in the IOC. That wasn't about tradition, that was about a sport that changed for the modern era. And I think the IOC are going to be more and more attuned to looking at the sports in their programme and making demands of how are these sports going to change to face the modern era. They will look at rowing, that's got 550 athletes, what is it, the 3rd biggest Olympic sport. They'll also see that as a potential win for new sports that haven't made the programme. So I think rowing will come under pressure from the IOC. Certainly I think the numbers might come down from 550 to 500, and if that happens, rowing cannot sustain its 14-boat Olympic programme with 500 athletes. Things will have to change. Athletes will have to double up. You'll have to get the pair and the 4 come together to make an 8, the single and double come together to make a quad. Teams will be smaller, things will be cheaper. I also feel rowing will have to go to shorter distances like sprint canoe, flat water canoe. So you'll have rowers racing over 500 metres in addition to the 2,000 metre programme. I think that will open the sport out to city centre rowing. I think of necessity rowing's got to get more attractive, more spectators, more television. The city centre rowing programmes are the answer, and that's going to be a great win for an Olympic programme. All these things are flights of fancy, don't really know what's going to happen. But what I do think is the pressure from changing rowing will come from above the Olympic people, not from below the coaches and athletes. If it stays like that, I guess 25 years from now, rowing's going to look pretty much the same as it does now.